Long ago, in a kingdom surrounded by wild forests and silver-topped mountains, there ruled a wise but cautious king. His land was peaceful, his people loyal, and his castle stood tall as a symbol of order and strength. The king had 3 sons, each admired throughout the kingdom for different reasons. The eldest prince was serious and disciplined. He believed every problem had only one correct solution, and he measured every decision carefully before acting. The second prince was lively and charming, quick to laugh and quicker to speak. He won people over easily, and enjoyed being admired. The youngest prince, however, was different. He was quiet, thoughtful, and kind. He listened more than he spoke, and people trusted him without fully knowing why. As years passed, the king began to sense unrest. Though his sons showed him respect, he felt their impatience. Whispers reached him, rumors that the princes were eager to rule before he was ready to step aside. Though age had weakened his body, his mind remained sharp. He had no intention of giving up his throne until he was certain of the right successor. To test his sons and to keep peace, he summoned them to the great hall. "My sons," he said, his voice steady, "the time has come for me to consider who shall one day rule after me. I cannot choose based on affection, for I love you all equally. Instead, you shall prove yourselves." The princes leaned forward. "Go into the world," the king continued, "and bring me the smallest and most perfect little dog you can find. The one who presents the finest dog shall be named my heir." Though surprised, the princes bowed and accepted the challenge. That very afternoon, Tay departed. The eldest prince rode east with a group of guards, determined to search noble estates and wealthy cities. The second rode west with a caravan of merchants, confident he could buy the rarest creature with gold. The youngest prince rode alone, guided only by instinct and a quiet hope that fate would lead him true. For many days, the youngest prince traveled through lands of breathtaking beauty, meadows filled with wild flowers, forests where sunlight danced through ancient trees, and villages warmed by kindness. Yet no matter where he searched, he found no dog worthy of a king. One evening, as the sky darkened and thunder rolled across the heavens, a violent storm broke loose. Rain fell in heavy sheets, wind bent the trees, and the prince's horse grew frightened. Seeking shelter, the prince guided his horse down a narrow forest path. Just when he feared spending the night cold and soaked, a strange glow appeared ahead. Rising from the forest stood a magnificent castle, its stone walls shimmering as if polished with moonlight. Golden torches burned brightly, and every window glowed warmly. The prince approached the gate and knocked. To his astonishment, the gate opened by itself. Inside, he found not servants but cats. Dozens of them walked upright, bowed politely, and wore velvet collars adorned with tiny gems. One tall, dignified cat gestured for the prince to follow. Confused but curious, he obeyed. He was led through grand halls decorated with tapestries showing crowned cats and golden kingdoms. Soft music echoed through the air. Finally, he entered a great chamber. There, seated upon a throne of carved ivory, was a small white cat. Her fur shone like snow, and her eyes sparkled with intelligence far beyond any animal. "Welcome, noble prince," she said gently. "You are weary from your journey. Rest here tonight as our honored guest." The prince, exhausted and amazed, accepted. That night, he dined at a feast served entirely by cats playing instruments, carrying trays, and moving with graceful precision. The white cat spoke with wit and wisdom, asking about his travels and his thoughts. Though she ate little, her presence was comforting. The prince slept deeply that night, more peacefully than he had in months. Days passed. Then weeks. The prince remained at the castle, drawn by its warmth and by the white cat herself. There were games, music, dances, hunts in the forest, and long conversations by candlelight. The white cat was always nearwise, kind, and strangely familiar to his heart. At last, remembering his quest, the prince spoke. "My lady, I fear I have stayed too long. I was sent by my father to find the smallest and most perfect dog." The white cat smiled knowingly. "I know. Stay 1 full year. When the time comes, I shall give you a gift greater than anything your brothers bring. Though uncertain, The prince trusted her. When the year ended, she presented him with a single walnut. "Do not open it until you stand before your father." The prince obeyed. Upon returning home, he found his brothers already there, each presenting beautiful dogs. When the king cracked open the walnut, all gasped. Inside sat a tiny dog, delicate, flawless, and radiant as if shaped from light itself. The king was astonished but not satisfied. "I set a second trial," he declared. "Bring me cloth so fine it can pass through the eye of a needle." Once more, the youngest prince returned to the white cat. She welcomed him like someone returning home. Another year passed filled with laughter, conversation, and a growing feeling neither dared to name. When the time came, she gave him a small box. Again, he did not open it. Inside lay cloth so fine it flowed like mist and passed silently through the smallest needle in the kingdom. The king marveled but still delayed. "One final challenge," he said. "Bring me the most beautiful bride." The prince's heart pounded. He knew who that must be. He rushed back to the castle. "You have come for the final time," the white cat said softly. "There is something you must do to break my curse." She explained that she was a princess, cursed in infancy by dark magic. To free her, the prince must strike her with his sword. The prince wept, but trusting her, he did as she asked. In a burst of golden light, the white cat vanished. In her place stood a radiant princess. The castle transformed. Cats became people. The curse was broken. Together, they returned to the king. Seeing her beauty, wisdom, and royal bearing, the king kept his promise. The youngest prince was crowned heir. They married, united their kingdoms, and ruled with kindness and wisdom. And the prince would often say, "You were always beautiful to me." And so they lived long and happily, proving that love, patience, and loyalty can break even the strongest enchantments.